Noach, Shishogeg Ba'achas means Vayitzat Pota. But Noach will intentionally transgress one of the 7 commandments. He doesn't have to do miklum, anything at all. We'll go to the Peirush. Even though, if he does transgress, he's liable for the death penalty, even without warning. As we learned in Perek Tes, Halacha 14. Noach is killed, and according to Rambam, it's done with a scythe, with a sword. Except if he kills somebody else unintentionally. That if he did kill him, the person's next of kin, who would go ahead and kill him, would not be liable for the death penalty. And a goy has no ear miklot. But their courts have no permission to put to death this unintentional murderer. The Halacha Mishnah questions, since warning was only given to define whether someone's doing it unintentionally or intentionally, and if a Noach doesn't need to be warned, why shouldn't he be killed for doing it unintentionally? The warning is his death penalty. That's Rashi's Shita. That Goyer ben Noach, that he keeps one of the 7 mitzvahs, and he killed, even unintentionally, he is liable for the death penalty, because you don't have to warn him, as we see in Sanhedrin 57a. The Lechem Mishnah answers that the Rambam is of the opinion that even though he doesn't need to be warned, still he needs to know that from his actions that it was willful. And when his actions prove that it was not willful, he is not liable. Rambam disagrees on Rashi and says you don't kill a person unintentional. When it says in Sanhedrin that Noach was narag without warning, that's when he did it willfully. Because even if he's unintentionally killed somebody, the Gemara should have told us the greater chidush, novelty, or novel idea is that even if it's unintentional, the Minchas, he's liable to the death penalty. The Minchas Chinuch explains Poter Miklum, that he's not liable for anything, that it's not considered a sin, he doesn't need atonement, and therefore somebody who trips up a benoach, the sin unintentionally, he did not transgress the law of putting a stumbling block before another person, even though that if Yisrael would do so to some other Jews, he would transgress it, because Yisrael, on every negative prohibition, if he would do it willfully, he's liable for chorus, and shogeg, he's liable to bring an offering in order to atone, and therefore he has to bring an offering, and if he doesn't have an offering, and then Hilchos Chinuch explains that he doesn't have to bring an offering. Except for the person who kills unintentionally a goy, kills another goy. If he killed the goy adam, kills him, he is not, the goy adam, the next of kin, is not liable for his death penalty. When a benoach kills someone else even unintentionally, a relative has the right to kill him, and they're not killed if they do so, because we find that goy adam is permitted to kill a murderer. And there's no cities of refuge that you have, only to Yisrael, who killed unintentionally, goes to a refuge city. Therefore, it's forbidden to the Goyal Adam to kill him when he's found in the Im Miklot. Now, Agea Toisha Shehorig B'Shogeg. Kesef Mishnah argues that one cannot say that except for somebody who kills unintentionally, if the Goy Adam killed him, he's not killed for it. He's talking about a goy that killed the Yisrael unintentionally, because he says specifically in Hilchos Yesodei, in the laws of murder, in chapter 5, Halacha 4, that even a ger toshav, which is a goy who keeps the 7 Noachide commandments in Eretz Yisrael, who killed a Yisrael unintentionally. Even though it's unintentionally, he is killed because a person is always liable for his actions. And if we're talking about a ger toshav who killed a ben noyach unintentionally, there we do find that there is a law of Orim Miklot for anyone who lives in Eretz Yisrael, even for a Ezrach, who's a guy who keeps the commandments. And in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah he writes, a ger toshav, a citizen ger, meaning he keeps the 7 mitzvahs and resides in Eretz Yisrael, who killed another citizen ger, or a eved unintentionally, he goes to Godol. So it says that this law applies to Bnei Yisrael, the like ger, to Bnei Yisrael and the convert. Well, the Toshav means the non-Jew who's dwelling in Eretz Yisrael. Like the Mishnah argues, what's the difficulty the Kesef Mishnah has? Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, where there are sheltered cities, therefore it's talking about he accepted the 7 mitzvahs, and it's talking about a goy, meaning he didn't accept the 7 mitzvahs, even though he's liable for them. Since he didn't accept them specifically, so we find Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, the guy who killed another guy unintentionally, there is no law of city of refuge. And this is Bnei Yisrael. And then a goy adam that kills a goy, that killed unintentionally, is not killed for that action. Rambam explains that a goy that killed a Yisrael is killed, but a goy that killed another goy who was a goy who killed a citizen of Israel who's non-Jewish, who keeps the 7 mitzvahs, then he should go to refuge. But Orim Miklot will not take in a non-Jew, and therefore the next of kin who kills him is not killed for it, because that is an action which person is not obligated to kill the next of kin for. The Kohen Isha points out from the Rambam's language, ben noyach, who unintentionally transgressed one of the commandments, it means that he does keep the 7 mitzvahs, just that here he had a transgression unintentionally, and not that he doesn't keep them. So how can you say we're talking about discussing somebody who has accepted them? This disagreement between a ben noyach who keeps the 7 mitzvahs to one who doesn't is found in the Rambam. A ben noyach, which we mentioned every place, is called a ger toshav. When he comes to Bezdin, he accepts before Bezdin a sort of a conversion process of being a ben noyach. The Torah says that he has a standard which is different from those who keep it, even though they keep it very strictly, but they didn't accept it before Bezdin. A goy in every place is a ben noyach that doesn't keep any of them. And the majority of them do not keep them. According to him, we can answer the question of the Kohen Isha. Halacha Mishnah explains that the ben noyach that's mentioned in the Rambam, that he did not accept before Bezdin the 7 mitzvahs, but he keeps them on his own. Therefore, the concept of unintentionally, meaning even though he hasn't accepted, he's not a ger toshav, but he still is here. He has done something which he would not have wanted to do when he's potter. However, since he's not a ger toshav, his law remains that of a goy. There's a goy that kills another goy, that the Ir Mikla will not take him in, and therefore the next of kin will find him outside the refuge city and will kill him. And there's no judgment against that next of kin, because that seems to be something that is part of the laws of ben noyach, that the next of kin can kill a murderer. Ma'akeves Mishnah goes into great length of this. Rambam continues, when he made a mistake in one of the laws, and transgressed without intent, such as he was drunk, I guess. He lived with his friend's wife. He thought she was his wife, or he thought she was unattached. He knew that it was his friend's wife. But he didn't know she's forbidden to him. He thought in his human mind that this is permitted to him, or he did it intentionally. You didn't know you can't murder. That's not called unintentional. That's considered close to intentional, and he's liable for the death penalty. This is not reckoned for them as an unintentional act, because he should have learned and he did not. Just as there is the concept of ignorance of the law does not make a person not liable for the law. By Yisrael, there's two types of unintentional. One is in the action, when in front of him there is a piece, for example, of fats, that he would be liable, chorus, the penalty of chorus, and being cut off, and he thought it was permitted fats, and he ate it. He's not punished, but he has to bring an offering. And that type of unintentional, Ben Noach is potter. Ben Noach is not liable. For example, when he thought that this is his wife, and he didn't know that it's the wife of his friend. 2, if he knew that it's the wife of his friend, he didn't know she's forbidden to him, and he had a relationship with her, Ben Noach would be killed, because he should have learned that it's forbidden. He did not learn. Because the Mishnah cites in a brisa, Goy, Ger, a convert, Goy, Shehogu Ne'arogim, that killed others, are given the death penalty, and they do not go to the cities of refuge if it's unintentional. Rava explains it that he thought it was permitted to kill, and it's considered close to being a intentional act. The Rambam codifies the Halacha according with him, even though Rav Chizda and Abaye is saying that if somebody thought it was permitted, is an accident. He's misled. He didn't know it's forbidden. He codifies the Halacha like Rava because he's the later regarding Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda is later than Rava. And also because when Abaye disagrees with Rava, Halacha ke Rava, he has to do two things here. First of all, eliminate Rav Chizda, and because Rav is later, and therefore get the laws like him, and then eliminate Abaye, because the law is like Abaye except for 6 instances. And he cites, because Rav Shmuel Nachmani is the opinion like Rava, therefore there's 2 against 2, and they codifies the Rambam the Halacha like Rava. The Lechem Mishnah points out that Makis 7b, we say Oima Muta is considered close to being intentional. It means that that's the Halacha. That's another place. But Raz cites Makis 10b, that when Avimelech took his Sorah, he asked Hashem, are you going to kill me on the unintentional? He said to him, a person who has a boarding house, or a guest that came to a city to eat and drink, do we ask him, do we ask him about food and drink, or do we ask him about if this is your wife or your sister? So over here we see that Ben Noach had to learn how to act. That you should know what kind of questions we're asking. I mean, your intention seems to have been very visible. And he adds that if he was unintentional, totally so, he would not be liable. To Guvi Alochus, so the Marash Agazi explains that according to the Rambam, there are 3 types of unintentional. 1, Yisrael who kills, but he doesn't know that the iron piece that's in his hand would cause somebody to die, and he goes to exile in the cities of shelter. And in Ben Noach, there's no sheltered cities, therefore he has to die. 2, when he didn't know the law, Ben Noach is called intentional. He should have learned, and he's killed, whereas a Jew would be shogeg. 3 is when he wanted to kill an animal, by accident he killed a person. That is there, according to the Rambam, a ben noach would be poser on the action. And the question of Melech, who said, will you then, when he took Sarah, will you then cause the righteous to die with the unrighteous? That he said that because he thought that Sarah was the sister of Avraham, and Hashem told him he had to learn the facts, and he didn't. Now, Melech was transgressing one of the 7 commandments, and he did so without intent. And it's similar. Somebody has a relationship with his friend's wife, and he thought that this is his own wife or an unmarried woman. According to the Rambam, you shouldn't be liable for death. Why? According to the Rambam, Avimelech was chayiv death penalty, and he answers that Avimelech was the king of Gra, and he should have learned the laws that you don't ask about who is this woman. You discuss what his needs are, and the very action that he did of discussing with the guest what this woman is, that caused him to be liable. And even though he thought it was the sister of Avram, according to the Rambam, that would be considered unintentional and not liable. He's liable. He was liable because he should have learned how to act to find out things. But other than Noach that unintentionally did so and thought she was unmarried and he had a relationship with her, and it was clarified that she's another person's wife, he is not liable because that unintentional act is not liable for the death penalty for a non-Jew.